The light is the supreme. In contrast to that, reason, what we have here. Her thought is an endless march without a goal. Light is the supreme has a goal. The goal is divine manifestation in the mortal world. That is what the life of the Supreme is there for, to accomplish it, divine manifestation in the mortal world, in the world of death. Naturally, any other light than that will be a kind of a remote shadow of that light. Reason is a remote shadow of that light. It is a very dim lamp in the darkness of the night. This constant change spells progress to her eyes. Well, reason keeps on changing, arguing, doing this, doing that constantly, and that it calls as progress. In fact, that is what the human civilization during the last 2 millennia has been working at, doing this, doing that constantly, you see. Since Plato's time, this is what we have got here. This constant change spells progress to her eyes. Her thought is an endless march without a goal. There is no summit on which she can stand and see in a single glance the infinite whole. Obviously, she cannot see the infinite whole. Well, actually, there is no summit on which she can stand. For the sake of argument, even if there is going to be a summit on which she would stand, assume that there is a summit on which she can stand, she will not be able to see the infinite soul. That is the very character of reason. Very character of reason. Even if you give a big summit on which you make her stand there, she will argue in her own way, and then she will miss the infinite whole, you see. So there is no summit on which she can. It means that there is absolutely no possibility. There is absolutely no possibility that reason will be able to see the infinite whole. That is what it means. An inconclusive play is reason's toil. Well, so that is the kind of summary of the previous section. Reason's toil is an inconclusive play. He says play. Play means working out different possibilities. Play means working out different possibilities. Try this, try that. That is the kind of a play which reason is constantly doing. It will argue in 1,000 ways. That is her play, that is her nature. Now, those 1,000 ways of arguing, they are not really going to lead you to any truth. They are not going to lead you to any truth. A strong idea can use her as its tool. You have got democracy, you have got anarchy, you have got monarchy, you have got so many systems of political organization. Each is an idea it will try and will justify also those things. You have got capitalism, you have got communism, you have got all those 1,000 things there, but none of them will be able to achieve what they want to do. A strong idea can use her as its tool. Yes, that is what has happened. Capitalism has justified itself on that basis. Communism has justified itself on that basis. But then ultimately it does not lead to anything. Each has an element of truth, but that truth is exclusive. It does not take into account the other factors, and therefore it becomes not only incomplete, it leads to inevitable failure, inevitable collapse. You see. Open. You see, liberty, freedom, we had that big slogan, French Revolution. But ultimately, you see what happens. It comes, works for a while, and then it goes away completely. You see that. Each strong idea can use her as a tool. That was really fraternity, liberty was a great thing at the time, at a moment of time, and it did achieve something. I mean, it was all right as an instrument, as a tool to bring about a certain kind of an immediate change in things. But then that immediate change cannot get settled again permanently. It has to be renewed. It has to go on from that. You see. That is how it keeps on happening. Open to every thought, she cannot know. Well, if you listen to 1,000 voices, you do not really know which is the true voice. All the 1,000 voices, each one is carrying a truth in it, but then you do not know whether I should accept this truth or that truth or that truth or that truth. Unable to see that. Reason is totally incapable of judging what should be really accepted. That is what it amounts to. Reason is incapable of it. In fact, she cannot know. We always say, I am in two minds. And if you keep on arguing with this mind or with that mind, it will justify its own way of doing things. That is absolutely endless. It is a perfect, impeccable logic in promoting its own idea completely. It will promote completely its own idea. But then I cannot decide. If I am in two minds, I cannot decide whether I should do this, I should do that. There is something else which comes and decides for me. Basically, normally, it is a life instinct. In our case, it is a life instinct. We say, no, go and do this. Yes, this is what should be done. That is what the life instinct will tell you. Reason cannot act in that way at all. It is a life instinct which comes forward and then pushes you to do one of those two things. You are in two minds like that, you see. So if there are 1,000 ideas like that, which idea are you going to accept? It is only the force of nature, life, energy, which is going to decide what should be promoted at that given moment of time in the course of evolution. In the course of evolution, that is what is going to decide, you see. Open to every thought she cannot know, and the eternal advocate seated as judge. Eternal advocate. She is eternal advocate, arguing for this or for that constantly, holding the brief for one particular thing, you see. And eternal advocate, seated as judge. So she is sitting as a judge. She is an advocate also, sitting as a judge. Armors and logics invulnerable male. Armors and logics invulnerable male. Armors, you put on a metal sheet around you, your body, and male, you see, kind of a loose sheet, you put bands to armor yourself against something. So that's the armor male. Armors and logics invulnerable, which cannot be destroyed, which cannot be challenged at all, you see. 1,000 combatants for truth's veiled throne. Combatant, because they are combatant, each idea is a combatant, each reason is a combatant, therefore each one is armored with a male. Each one is fighting for its own assertion, for its own purpose, you see, and sits on a high horseback of argument. Horseback of argument. Well, that is what you ride on the horseback, and then you insist that this is what it should be done. You drive, you push your horse forward like that, you see. To tilt forever with a wordy lance. So you are riding, you are an answer, you are riding a horse, and then what is the lance you got? Word, argument, logo, armor. Logo, armor. That is your lance, you see. Word, lance. To tilt forever with a wordy lance. Well, that is what happens. Most of the time we argue against each other also. And then we end into logo maki, killing each other's logic, you see, like that, you see. Logo maki, you see. in a mock tournament where none can win. Obviously, because reason cannot decide. Although she is sitting on the judgment seat, she is an advocate, she herself is a judge, but she cannot decide whether it should be done or that. The argument goes on and on constantly. Well, that is what has happened. In all our discussions, metaphysical discussions, it's an endless process. Vishishta, Advaita, Advaita, Advaita. See, I got so many specialized Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishta, Advaita, duality, non-duality, specialized duality, all these kind of things keep on arguing, and they have been arguing metaphysically for ages like that, but none of them can really win and say that it is this or it is that. It is a partial realization of a certain truth of the transcendent. Each one, Vaishishta Advaita, specialized duality, non-integral duality, integral duality, you kind of names like that. Each has a certain element of truth because it is derived from the highest truth. You see, that highest truth allows each aspect to be propagated here. You see, so we are always caught in the formulation of those ideas through our mind process, and reason cannot decide whether duality is true or non-duality is true or integral duality is true or integral non-duality is true. We cannot argue and decide at all any of those things, you see. And therefore it's a mock tournament, you see. In fact, people have really quarreled for ages like that. All these acharyas, Shankaracharya, I mean the whole tradition of Indian philosophy, metaphysics like that, not only in India, even in foreign countries, even in Europe also, reason has been always like that. Same thing happens even in the case of doctrinaire religions, this doctrine or that doctrine. See, keep on arguing constantly, you see, nothing means, you see, in a mock tournament where none can win. But at the same time, each has an aspect of truth in it. That is more important. Each has definitely an aspect of truth in it, you see. Only that we don't understand the totality of the truth, you see. As saying thoughts, values, with a rigid, as her, it could be advocate, it could be reason. Reason itself, herself is the advocate. Reason. As saying thoughts, values, as saying being, whether it is correct or not, applying certain standards to see whether your argument tallies with those standards or not. That is how you are assaying certain things. Assaying thoughts, values with a rigid. Now, actually, thoughts, values, they are most of the time temporal. For a certain time process, they come into play, they act, and then they kind of get exhausted and they have to disappear, you see. They do disappear, you see. And in fact, that is the entire history. If you want to really summarize the history of last 2000 years, this is what it means. It amounts to that thing, you see. Assaying thoughts, values with a rigid balance, she sits on wide and empty air. She sits on air, empty air. What a phrase, empty air. Balance, she manages to sit on that thing, on a wide and empty air. Aloof and pure in her impartial poise. So she judges with any attachment, without getting emotional about anything, without getting passionate about this or that. She tries to judge, but ultimately nothing happens. She is sitting on an empty chair, empty air. Now don't ask me what it exactly mean by empty air. But then the beauty of the phrase is so that, you say, the air is there, but then it has no content in it. There is no base in it at all, on which you can sit and promote your ideas, your own possibilities, you say. That is why it is empty, you see. Absolute, her judgments seem, but none is sure. Her judgments, of course, reasons. Reason says this or reason says that. Well, in fact, this is what we have seen. The entire history of last 2000 years is that absolute judgment. Absolute imperialism has come, monarchy has come, this thing has come. You see, all those things have happened and gone. You see, absolute has been seen, but none is sure. Time cancels all her verdicts in appeal. So today, yes, imperialism, Roman imperialism was so powerful, but time cancelled that thing and brought other trend, brought other things. They were necessary. They had to go on, you see.